Hello, hello. I'm Zachary Hines, and this is what you missed at the Straz. Hello, I'm Zachary Hines, and I am here virtually with the luscious, the live streaming goddess herself, LeeAnn Day Douglas.
Good morning.
Good morning. I've had my coffee. Can you tell?
Yes, and I believe you're probably going to have more.
Oh, yeah, the coffee has just begun. I was up real early this morning to be on the radio to promote a community sing along we're doing for Rent. Probably by the time this podcast comes out, it'll already be released, so you can go check that out.
Yep.
But yeah, I definitely had to. I started coffee at 6 a.m., probably had about like 2.5 hours of sleep,
Ooh, that's rough.
but still looking fresh.
And you're in good voice, so there you go.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, how are you doing? How is quarantine life for you so far?
So it's okay. I'm going a little stir crazy. I want to get out of the house. Luckily, I have a nice yard, so I can go sit out there at lunchtime and be in the sun. So that's
Because
really
you're a
nice.
wanderer.
I am a wanderer. Yes, I like to wander. So it's just like I'm like this would be a perfect day to put my kayak on the water, and alas, we're not allowed to do that. I mean, they're like boats need to stay, what I think they said, 50 feet away from each other.
Mm.
But if everybody's at the same boat ramp trying to get on the water, it's not. You just got to stay home. That's all. You just got to stay home. So I think I'll put the kayak on the grass and turn the sprinkler on, and we will just have a virtual kayaking experience. So
I love that. Maybe we'll get you like a kiddie pool,
there you
a little
go.
inflatable boat you can paddle in place.
Yeah. So quarantine's going okay. Work from home is going okay. This recording is going okay. So we're doing all right.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like this has been a great challenge to think outside the box, think of different ways to continue what we've been doing. I think it's really cool and awesome that we've been able to still persist with the podcast and
Hmm.
then even come up with even more ideas to connect with people and live out our mission.
Yeah, absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
show must go
It
on.
must go on. It must go on. So this week we decided we were going to talk about Sweeney Todd,
Attend the tale of Sweeney Todd.
which I had never seen before.
Wait,
So
wait, 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 wait. Never, ever?
never, never, ever.
Okay, so you've never seen the movie. I thought
No,
you just had never seen the movie adaptation.
no, I had never seen Sweeney Todd. So
Oh,
I didn't even know the music from Sweeney Todd until, like, as I was watching the film. Only two songs did I know, and it was because I had to sing them in voice lessons when I was taking voice in high school.
what did you have to
So
sing? Greenfinch and Linnet Bird?
no, not while I'm around.
Oh,
I
I
had to
just
sing
learned that on the
that.
ukulele last night.
Yeah, and the other one was "Pretty Women." That one.
I
So
love that song.
yeah, and it's okay. So I'm gonna not talk about that song quite yet, but yes, those two songs are the ones that I was familiar with. The rest of them, I had no clue.
So
Um,
just a quick little funny aside, just to give you a glimpse inside my of how much of a musical theater kid nerd I am. I My first job in college was I worked at Starbucks, and it was like a hotel Starbucks, and I worked like kind of odd shifts to balance out my class schedule. And so the first song that Miss Lovett sings in Sweeney Todd is The Worst Pies in London.
right?
And so I would sing it to people at Starbucks, and I'd call it The Worst Chies in
Oh
London.
God, that's terrible. Oh my gosh, how old were you when you were doing this?
I was probably 17,
Of
18.
course. Yeah,
"Wait, what's your
yeah.
rush? What's your hurry? Did you come in for a chai, sir?"
They could totally make that into their next commercial as
I
soon
know.
as we
You're welcome, Starbucks.
yes, there you go. There you go. So yeah, so we watched Sweeney Todd. Now the idea was we were going to watch the movie and then watch the musical on Broadway HD. So movie on Netflix, musical on Broadway HD. So I watched the movie, and then I went to queue up the musical, and it was nowhere to be found. And I was like, oh, why can't I find this? I know I'm spelling it right. I'm searching for it. It's not under musicals. It's not under date night. It's not under, of course that would be kind of a weird date night, but still I was looking,
Be a
and
date night for me.
right, and I couldn't find it. And so I text Zach and I was like, "Where is Sweeney Todd?" And you said,
And I literally just saw it on there when we were watching Miss Saigon. I saw it. That's how I got the idea for us to watch Sweeney Todd. And I was so excited. And I'm really bummed because Angela Lansbury as Miss Lovett is the one, the only, phenomenal. It's incredible. So we're gonna have to find another way to. I'm sure it's on YouTube
"Yeah, or it'll
or
come back."
Amazon.
Sometimes they rotate through what's on there, so maybe they took it down for April, but maybe it'll be back in May, so we'll be able to take a look. But
Broadway HD, you failed me.
oh
You've
my
been
gosh, oh my gosh. So of course the movie was starring Johnny Depp, um,
yes.
and Helena Bonham Carter.
Mhm.
And so I'm watching the movie, and my husband's in the room watching it with me, and he goes, "Isn't that?" And he didn't finish and then he's still watching. He's like, "Isn't that?" And I was like, "Yes." He's like, "Are we watching Harry Potter?" And I was like, "This is like the musical for Death Eaters because it was Helena Bonham Carter who played Mrs. Lovett, who also played um, Bellatrix Lestrange in Harry Potter, and
Right.
then the judge was played by, oh gosh, I don't know the
Alan
actor's name.
Rickman.
Alan Rickman, who played Snape
Mhm.
in Harry Potter, and then the judge's sidekick. I don't know the actor's name either, but he played the little rat guy in Harry Potter.
Oh, right, right, right.
Yeah, and
The
so
beetle.
yeah, so left and right,
Beetle
it was
deedle
like
deedle dumplin', beetle dumplin', beetle deedle deedle do.
that's him. So yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like watching Harry Potter. It's Death Eater the musical. So yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect of it because I didn't know those people could sing, you know?
And there was even a cameo from the actor who played Giles in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show.
So it was an all-star cast. And I'm not usually a Johnny Depp fan. I used to be a Johnny Depp fan, but then once he became part of the Pirates franchise, I kind of got over Johnny Depp because I think it was kind of overdone.
Mhm.
Um, but um, but yeah, but I really enjoyed him in this performance. Um, so yeah, it was
It was
pretty
very, like,
cool.
understated. I feel like especially, you know, Johnny Depp was one of those things, it was, like, cool to like him because not a lot he was still kind of like a cult favorite,
Hmm. Hmm.
he still wasn't super mainstream, but it was cool to know who he was and to like him, and, he always made, like, really interesting choices, and then Pirates was really when he kind of blew up and became full on mainstream.
Right.
So it kind of became like, "Oh, well, now that everyone likes him and knows
Right.
him."
Exactly. Exactly. I don't like him anymore now that
But
everybody else
also I
likes
feel
him.
like it was very, kind of flamboyant, the character of the pirate
Hmm.
Jack Sparrow. So this was nice to see a very kind of understated,
Absolutely.
haunting performance from him.
Yeah. Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, the storyline is Sweeney Todd. He had what was his name? Benjamin Barker.
Benjamin Barker.
Yeah, so he was Benjamin Barker, married to this beautiful woman. They had a beautiful daughter, and
There was a barber and his wife, and she was beautiful.
and the judge of the town was in love with her, and
Mhm.
so he put Benjamin Barker in jail, basically.
Hey, they sent him to Australia.
Yeah, so he comes back to London. That's how they start the movie. He's
Yes,
on a
he is
boat.
returning. He was rescued by Antony, a strapping young lad just waiting for life to begin,
Hmm.
and is very excited and wants to fall in love and explore all of London. And Sweeney's I love when uh, Sweeney's like, "Yes, you can come find me." Like you could tell that he kind of likes him, but he's so like dead to the world.
He's dead inside. Yeah. So he's basically looking for revenge. And
Revenge.
he hooks up with Mrs. Lovett, who has a restaurant but no meat because there's a meat shortage.
Mrs.
And
Lovett's meat pies.
they end up deciding, and this was, I think, the best song in the entire show. Um, it was a little priest.
Have a little priest.
Have a little priest, and so they're looking at all of the people in the streets, thinking, "Oh, there's meat right there." So Sweeney Todd's gonna basically kill them, and she's gonna bake them into pies. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and normally I don't watch anything that's gory. So I didn't. I know. And so when you said Sweeney Todd last week, I know people are gonna like, if when they listen to that podcast, they're gonna be like, she doesn't sound very enthusiastic about that. Because I knew it was gory. So I'm kinda like, okay, we'll watch Sweeney Todd because I don't like the gore. And I was like, oh, and in the movie it's gonna be really gory because they can get away with so much more with the effects in a movie than they can on stage. Um,
Oh
so
yeah, and they
yeah,
definitely took advantage of that.
they did take advantage of it. It was really gory, but also really funny at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. So, he would kill these guys, and he had this barber's chair because he was a barber. He had this barber's chair that he rigged up that would dump them through a trap door into the cellar so that she could throw them in the meat grinder and grind them and make them into pies. And they had to be sandbags dressed in clothes because of the way that they hit.
Oh,
But
when they oh
when they
every
hit the
time.
bottom of that in the basement, and it was just like thump crunch, and it was like, oh my gosh,
Oh.
and it made me laugh every time. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
how sick am I that I find that funny? But
Well, it's just so over the top, like
it
I
was
feel like
really
they
over the top.
just
Yeah.
blood splattering everywhere, giant thuds and bones cracking when they
Mhm.
fell,
Mhm.
and just
Yeah.
like deadpan Johnny Depp.
Yeah, and I know we're all over the place with this, but the makeup, they had them in like a real pale face, but with dark under the eyes to make them look hollow and hungry and dead
Mm-hmm.
inside. And there's this number where she's basically telling him that she loves him. It's called "By the Sea."
By the sea, well, dun, 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 dun,
It's just
by the sea,
it's
da,
just this
da, da,
happy
da,
little
da, da, da,
number.
da, da.
Yeah, and it's so out of place. And it was hilarious. It was just hilarious.
I love that. So Sweeney Todd comes back to London. He's seeking revenge because the judge uh, sent him to Australia, and he doesn't really know what happened to his wife and his young child, who was just a baby when he left. And he runs into Mrs. Lovett because her meat pie shop is his old home. And so Mrs. Lovett she definitely has a crush on him, and it grows to get to the point where she's trying to get him back. Like she gives him back his shears to be a barber. And so the whole first half, he's trying to really seek revenge, come back as a barber, and he's really not murdering people until he has the judge in his clutches. And then sweet, sweet Anthony, who is in love with the judge's ward, who is Sweeney Todd's daughter, Joanna, needs Sweeney Todd's help to free his one true love. But it just so happens runs into Sweeney's barber room right when he's about to slit the judge's throat, and tells his whole plan for taking away Joanna and Sweeney Todd loses the judge, so he loses his whole grip on life and decides he's just gonna murder everyone. He's gonna get
Just
revenge on the rich and
that's
take
it.
the poor out of their misery.
Ed, rich, poor, doesn't matter. He was just gonna kill them all. So
And
yeah,
then the second half is really
the
Mrs.
killing.
Lovett is she's living her best life because her meat pie shop is back in business. Suck it, Mrs. Mooney, because she has humans instead of cats.
Oh my gosh. Well, and then there's also this young boy who they rescue from um another barber. He was like this other barber's helper,
Who's played by
and
Sacha Baron Cohen, who can sing.
he can't sing. So yeah, and so he ends up helping Mrs. Lovett at the meat pie shop and being like her helper, because Sweeney Todd killed the other barber, of course, and so he
Because
was
the
kind
other
of
barber just so happened he was Pirelli and had this like Italian accent, and it ended up that he was Benjamin Barker's assistant, and so he knew that Sweeney Todd was really Benjamin Barker, and so Sweeney had to kill him
right because
to
he was blackmailing him.
yeah, he said,
So
"You have to give me half of your income for
yeah,
life."
yeah, yeah.
So
So
that ended real quick.
so he killed him, and they kept the assistant. So so yeah, so he's
So it's
hanging
really
around.
interesting. The show is from it premiered in 1979. Stephen Sondheim was obsessed. It was originally a play, which was based off of these were like penny dreadful stories from the 1800s in London. And Sondheim saw this play, and the play is what kind of added this whole emotional element. So Sweeney wasn't just this kind of serial killer on a rampage, that he actually had a personal vendetta to settle. It kind of added
Right.
a Count of Monte Cristo kind of vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sondheim fell in love with it, and he wanted to add music to it because he felt like music would add. It really is an operetta because I think like 80% of the show is music.
Is it
It's
really?
either dialogue underscored by music, or I mean, the movie version cuts it back a lot, but it's
Oh, okay.
still underscored quite a bit. So there's music. The music really drives the melodrama of it all. Um, and Hal Prince directed, legendary Broadway theater director, directed the original Broadway production. And originally he wasn't really feeling it. And I found so interesting when I was reading the story that Sondheim really connected with kind of the personal story of revenge that he felt was very universal. This story of obsession that we all live with some kind of obsession. And how Prince viewed it differently. He loved he saw it as a metaphor for basically the man, the factory, connecting it to the industrial revolution, that basically the system it basically murders people. It takes away all
Hmm.
meaning of life from people, and creates these Sweeney Todds who are basically just dead inside.
Wow.
Um,
That's
and so
really
in
pessimistic.
Yeah, it's a very cynical kind of outlook, but it is interesting. And actually, I never knew this, but it makes so much sense when I read this story, because the musical version starts with a factory whistle,
Hmm.
and that's a very jarring sound. Like it starts with that, like, "Ah," and
Right, right,
I think the act one and act two both end with that sound too. So it kind of jumps you right out of your seat.
right, right.
I saw the show live on Broadway with Patti LuPone
Oh
as Mrs.
gosh.
Lovett. It was
Okay.
a really cool production where all of the actors also played an instrument. So they were the
Oh.
orchestra too, and so Patty was playing, I think she played, like, the accordion or the tuba at one point, like, it was
Mhm.
just ridiculous, but she was a great Mrs. Lovett. Where Helena Bonham Carter, she was really wonderful, but she was more, like, kind of understated, where, Patty and Angela Lansbury kind of really play into the comedy and the brassiness of
Right, right,
Mrs. Lovett. That's kind of how they portrayed her.
right. I have nothing to compare it to, so um, that was my one and only, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I would watch it again. So, so yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I love it too. And so what are your thoughts on horror in theater? Because I think it can be very difficult to scare people in a live experience.
Oh, I don't know. I've been scared in a live, well, I've been startled in a live experience before. So, like in Phantom of the Opera, when they're chasing the Phantom around the theater and then the gunshots, those startle me.
Mm,
I mean,
mhm.
they make me jump in my seat. And I've seen it multiple times, and still every time they fire the guns, it makes me jump. Um, I mean, like I said, you won't you won't have the gore factor, at least not as much gore in a theatrical situation, which I would probably prefer. So I would think that you would have to use other methods of getting that point across um, in a theatrical situation. Um,
Right. I think what I liked about Sweeney Todd is that they incorporate a lot of comedy, and the music is actually really beautiful,
hmm
which I think is really interesting. It's not trying to be scary. I mean, the kind of
No, it
intro song
yeah, I was
is
gonna say it doesn't fit. Like the music doesn't fit the show. You've got this dark, pessimistic, revenge, gory horror show with Sondheim's lyrics. And so the juxtaposition of that is a really interesting product at the end.
yeah, it really blends thing and I think they do it so well because I compare it to I guess the closest thing I could think of in terms of, like, a horror musical would either be, like you said, Phantom of the Opera or Jekyll and Hyde. Where Jekyll and Hyde, the music is there are actually many beautiful, like, power ballads and songs in that too, but I think the songs are more, like, horror sounding, like,
hmm
"Murder, murder in the night
Right,
air,
right.
murder,
And
murder."
these are, pretty women.
Mhm. Oh, so what's your Pretty Woman story?
Oh, I don't have one. No, I just
Oh,
think they're.
you
He's
just wanted
just
to talk
well, no. It's just because the judge is in the barber's chair. Sweeney Todd is getting ready to slit his neck, and they're singing this duet, this beautiful duet about pretty women, and it's just like I was saying. It's just the music doesn't fit at all, and it's just really beautiful music, beautiful lyrics, and with this horror story. So it's really interesting combination. I really enjoyed it. I had only heard Pretty Women listening to Barbara Streisand's Broadway album, you know. So
I wonder because I think the music adds almost the hope to the show, like, almost all of the songs have some kind of hope to them, um, where maybe that's the difference. I don't know, where, like, the reality that these characters are living in is so grim and horrible, and they're so, like, beaten down by Mrs. Levitt tried to have a meat pie shop, and the only way that she can actually find success is by putting people into pies,
right, right,
and Sweeney Todd once had a wonderful life that was taken away from him because of, uh, jealousy and lust, and, kind of a lot of the music was very hopeful and beautiful and idealistic, where the reality was really anything but.
yeah. So for once, we're not gonna spoil the ending.
Oh, there's such a good twist. Did
It's a
you did you
really
predict
good.
it?
I did not, and I'm not the kind that can ever predict that kind of stuff. I mean, usually my husband is like, "Yeah, I knew that was going to happen," and I'm like, "Oh, whatever." But yeah, I was. It has a twist, has a couple of twists,
Oh, yeah.
So everybody go
Twists
out,
and
twists and
turns.
turns, go out and tune up your Netflix and pull up Sweeney Todd and watch it, and you can see how it ends.
Go
And
get quarantined
yes,
on Sweeney
yes,
Todd.
go do it, go do it. So are you going to rate it?
Okay, I would give Sweeney Todd 5 out of 5 meat pies.
Oh, I'm not going to eat those pies. You can. I'll give you the pies, but I'm not going to eat them. How's that?
Okay, okay, more
Okay,
for me. We can give them to
okay.
Toby.
Oh,
Oh,
there you
sweet,
go,
sweet Toby.
sweet Toby.
So, next time, I don't know, what are we gonna what are we gonna watch? What do you wanna watch?
Um, let's make it a surprise.
Okay, it's gonna be a I have some ideas. So, yes, so listeners, get ready, be surprised, maybe share some suggestions. What do you want us to watch? What's our hashtag? Hashtag Straz podcast.
There you go. That's what it is.
Share with share share your requests with us on Facebook with hashtag Straz podcast, and maybe we'll watch it.
There you
All
go.
right, till next time, please take care of yourself, take care of each other, and stay safe and healthy. Take care.